Good evening. Welcome to WYS Live, episode 10. That's right. We have survived long enough to make it to double digits. So glad to be back. I was on vacation last week, went back down to my hometown in coastal Georgia and saw some old friends and made some new friends, and I'm back in the high country of Wyoming, and I'm so glad to be back here behind the desk and behind the mic of WYS Podcast, and now we're on WYS Live. Episode 10, we got a lot to cover tonight, y'all. A lot has happened since I've been gone. Fani Willis, lots unfolding in that case. We're going to keep you updated on that. Trump and his bond situation. We got the Biden impeachment hearings that have started, and that was just a circus sideshow. Well, we're going to cover it as we are wont to do. Lots of World War III potential happenings, precursors, lots of things that are unsettling across the world. It's what happens when you have a Democrat in the office, a weak president. What else do you expect? And they know the clock's ticking. So we'll cover all the things happening as far as that's going. Texas trying its damnedest to stand up for itself and the rest of the country and secure its own damn border because the Biden administration is willfully derelict in their duty. Also, some crazy rights being afforded to illegal immigrants. That's right. We're going to give them guns, apparently. We'll touch on that more. And also, why the hell was Obama in the UK over at 10 Downing Street talking to the Prime Minister and a few other European world leaders over the weekend, last week? Any clue? We're going to tell you right here on WYS. But first up, you know we've been covering the Fani Willis saga, I guess, wall to wall as much as we can. We even went live during one of the hearings. We're going to do some more of that coming up. But, man, since we were last with each other, the judge came out scathing rebuke of Fani Willis and her conduct, her relationship, her behavior on the stand. And pretty much, if you're a lawyer and a judge writes this about you, you lose pretty much all credibility for anyone else that isn't elected in a 73% Biden voting county would spell doom in the end of your political and professional career. But not so fast with this judge, Scott McAfee. Let me tell you what's going on. Everybody knows that she lied and perjured herself under oath. The defense was very clear in stating that all that was necessary was the preponderance of evidence and the appearance of impropriety, which that's a 51% likelihood. The judge said he disregarded Robert Yearty and Terrence Bradley's testimony. Robin Yearty didn't want to be there. The state tried to smear her, say she was a disgruntled employee, former employee. She had to be subpoenaed to come testify. Now, you think if she had an axe to grind, you think if she wanted to actually damage and hurt the career of Fani Willis, she would have run to the stand to say any and everything she could. But you have to understand, these people are Democrats too. They want Trump to go down. So as much as they might have some revealing truth to give under oath, they don't want to. They want Trump to fall too, which is just a big underlying problem with this country. We'll talk more about that in a little while. But the big quote where there was an odor of mendacity in this trial and the behavior of Fani Willis from the judge. But all he did was say either she's got to go or the boyfriend's got to go. Nathan Wade. So, of course, she's going to take Nathan Wade off the trial. She's already had speaking at a woman's event talking about she's the best DA in the history of Fulton County over there parading around her supposed victory march. Okay. The judge, in his crazy opinion, basically accepted the cash defense, that everything was done in cash, all on the table, tens of thousands of dollars, as a reasonable excuse, which, okay, if that's reasonable, then it's going to be really hard to try a case in Fulton County, Georgia, with that precedent being set. Now, since this has happened, McAfee was running unopposed for re-election in his district. But since this was coming forth, since he said he needed a 2 weeks thereabouts to rule on this issue on Fani Willis and whether or not she was going to be disqualified from the case or anything else, just in that 2 week period, a new opponent has come to challenge him straight from the Fulton County Democrat playbook. That's right. It is a new challenger, straight left wing. So now Scott McAfee has the political pressure as opposed to just the pressure of applying the law accurately. He wants to keep his job. So he has to try to appease a voting bloc, a demographic that voted 73 some odd % for Joe Biden in the last election. So presumably this one county wants to see Trump put in jail. That's what they're trying to do. So out of all the red counties in Georgia, why do you think they tried it here? Okay. Oh, the same place the pipe burst on election night. So maybe it was more like 65% voted for Biden. Who will ever know? But Nathan Wade's off the case. I don't even know if that's a good thing for the Trump defense, because we saw this guy on the stand. He ain't exactly the top of the class, okay? This guy is gone now. Maybe now they'll have somebody actually qualified that's not just banging the DA on the case. Their staff and their team gets stronger, probably, addition by subtraction, okay? So the only thing good out of this is that Judge Scott McAfee, in his ruling, said this might be something for somebody else to take up. The state bar, the state legislature, a bigger power. Somebody else might need to look into that. And don't forget, just in between the last hearing of the Fani Willis side and between this ruling, the state Senate subpoenaed Ashley Merchant, who was the one that had the cell phone records, the ones that had, the judge didn't care about the cell phone records, even apparently for a 51% standard. That's it. Cell phone records, text messages, testimony under oath, none of that. So now, maybe the state Senate will have something to do. Maybe a higher power of the bar, something else can look into this as well. But it is not over for Fani Willis. She can spike the football, do her victory lap. But all touchdowns are reviewed. And Scott McAfee has allowed for this to be appealed. Okay, so the first story up right here. Let's take a look at this together. Georgia judge allows Trump to appeal disqualification ruling, okay? So what this means is I'm trying to get this fit on the page right, which was supposed to have been done already. All right, let's see how this works here. One second. Wouldn't be my first day back without some technical difficulties to deal with. All right. Here we go. All right. A Georgia judge, Scott McAfee, enabled former President Trump to immediately appeal the recent ruling declining to disqualify Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis for her romantic relationship with a top prosecutor overseeing the election interference case there. In a brief order issued Wednesday, Judge Scott McAfee granted the certificate of immediate review request by Trump and 8 of his co-defendants in the sprawling racketeering case. Now, why this is important is because typically appeals and things happen after the trial, but this judge is allowing Trump and the other defendants to appeal this ruling that he just made to not disqualify Fani Willis now, concurrent with the trial, because most anybody else that has seen this evidence, lots of law opinions will sit there and say this judge tried to split the baby and play it safe, and in doing that, he killed the baby. And this was just a joke of a ruling. It's like he caught two people doing a crime and said one of them had to go and the other one, don't do it again. I heard somebody say it was like he caught two people in a bank vault and arrested one of them, kind of deal. So that's pretty kind of a good analogy. But don't forget, lies under oath are felonies, okay? She has committed felonies on the stand. So she lied about visiting the White House, lied about when her relationship started, lied about the cash payments, lied about, and she was calling everybody, she called Ashley Merchant a liar many times on the stand, impugning her reputation. She went in her church and called everybody a racist for trying to do this stuff. Okay? This is the kind of DA we're talking about. Just crooked as the day is long, and that's what you get in Fulton County. Fulton County has a choice. They need to figure out if their political motivations are more important than rooting out corruption, because you will never get the system right. You will never get representatives accountable to the people if they allow corruption to be rampant as long as their political boogeymen are attacked. And that's exactly what we have happening here. Now, don't forget that the Georgia State Senate, when they had Ashley Merchant, when they were asking her questions, asked this. This is from a couple of episodes ago we had.
So in that testimony, did she deny the start date of this affair?
Yes, she said it started in early of 2022. There was some discrepancy between them, a month or two here and there, whether it started, generally it was around March, is what Mr. Wade and Ms.
What are the
Willis.
consequences for an attorney to give sworn testimony that she did if you're Bradley, what is it, Yearkey? Yearty, your Trackhawk data, your other independent verifications are found to be truthful?
It's a crime. It's a felony. You'd lose your license.
Okay.
It's perjury.
Same for Wade.
Yes. And we have rules that are one of the, outside of privilege and confidentiality, we cannot suborn perjury. So if I have a client who tells me I did it, I can't put them on the stand to say I didn't do it.
Okay.
I would lose my license over that. I cannot do that.
So they're on to her. Her goose still may be cooked, but they're going to have to go either through this appeal process, which we'll see if the appellate court is a little more upright, maybe not so just dyed-in-the-wool liberal, and actually wants to uphold law and have some accountability and some professionalism in the state of Georgia, so as to not have Fulton County the laughingstock of the country, looking at how their DA's offices run, looking at how their courts are run. Here's an opinion that was on Fox right here about Fani Willis.
In your professional opinion, is Fani going to get kicked off?
Well, I think this was a really important decision by the judge. And even in the judge's ruling, he had essentially suggested that the case law in Georgia was not clear about what he should do in a circumstance where he has what looks to be perjury by the district attorney. So I think it was the right decision to have this case reviewed essentially while the trial is still pending. It's not a typical move because, of course, this is something that would normally be appealed at the end of trial. But the judge was right to send this to the appellate court. I think that there is still a very good chance that the appellate court could believe that disqualification is required.
So as you can see, this is far from over. Far from over. Now, we will stay tuned. We will have you kept abreast of the situation as ongoing in the Fani Willis trial. That just was the Trump trial. It's kind of the Fani Willis trial now. We will see what's going on. I see you in the chat out there, Willie. Yeah, lock her up. That's right. That's right. So we'll keep you abreast of that. We've been plugged into this situation as it's been going on from jump, and we will continue to keep you abreast on WYS. But we think that if the right court hears this, she's going to be off the case potentially thrown out, because the entire case was brought by a DA's office that was crooked. The entire DA's office signed off on this statement of Fani Willis's, all these lies, all this perjury, all these felonies that she committed on the court in front of everybody on national TV. So we'll see. We will stay in the loop on that. But moving on. Bond. Trump's bond, baby. That's right. Lots of stories in the news right now about Trump and trying to secure this bond. Now, there's been word out there, conflicting reports, that his lawyers are saying it's almost impossible to get this bond because they knew what his cash holdings were, because they had access to all of his bank statements and everything else during this trial. So they saw he had about $400 and some odd million in cash on hand. And so what they do, they charged him with $400 and something million of cash with interest, which was more than his actual cash. So it would take every liquid dollar of cash he had to secure a bond. They can't secure bonds with real estate and cash together. So he's kind of in a rock and a hard place. ABC comes out right now and says, New York AG takes first step towards possibly seizing Trump's asset as part of a $464 million fraud judgment. New York Attorney General Letitia James has taken an initial step toward laying the groundwork for a possible seizure of former President Donald Trump's asset in New York's Westchester County as part of the $464 million judgment in Trump's civil fraud trial. State officials have entered the judgment from Trump's civil fraud trial in Manhattan with the county clerk's office in Westchester, which would allow James to move to take possession of Trump National Golf Course in Briarcliff Manor and Seven Springs, a private estate in Bedford, if Trump fails to secure the bond. His lawyers this week said Trump is facing insurmountable difficulties obtaining a bond to cover the $464 million judgment imposed by Judge Arthur Engoron. They have asked an appeals court for permission to post a smaller bond or none at all. If Trump does not secure a financial guarantee by Monday's deadline, James could begin the legal process of seizing Trump's bank account and physical assets in Manhattan and Westchester through liens and foreclosures. Now, this is getting super screwed up, man. This is Soviet-style shit to the letter of the law. This is communism. This is what they do in Cuba, China, Russia. This is it. As much as they want to accuse Trump of being a Putin lover, they're doing the tactics. And what do you expect? Socialist tactics from a socialist group of Democrats. So now, Trump can't use his assets to post the collateral for the bond. So let me tell you how screwed up this entire process is. Usually, when you appeal something, then you would hold the judgment and the penalty to find out what the appeal is. They're saying that this has to go on before he can even appeal the ruling. So there is a scenario where the state of New York could seize his properties, his skyscrapers, or his golf course, sell it, then he wins the appeal. He doesn't get his property back. They just have to give him the money that they sold it for, which doesn't even have to be at fair value. They can sell it to China, for all I care. Mark my words, if she gets the chance to sell this, who do you think's going to come up with this money to buy a skyscraper real quick? China? So now you're going to have these socialist communist people using the justice system, weaponizing it in a way that's never been done before, to go after their political opponent, former President Trump, to seize his assets if he doesn't have this money in 4 days, and then sell it off before he can even have a chance to appeal, which he is likely to at least partially win. It's insane. The whole case is based on he apparently defrauded banks, right? He apparently defrauded all these banks when he put a number of what his assets were worth that the New York State does not agree with. By the way, we've said it before on here, banks do their own due diligence. You don't just get to say, I got $100 million in properties, and the banks say, cool, here you go. They investigate. They do their own valuations of your assets before they loan you the money. Also, these same banks testified on Trump's behalf in the trial. So now there's no victim in the crime. The banks aren't the one that even filed this suit against Trump. The state of New York did. So the state of New York says, you defrauded these banks, so give us $500 million. The state of New York, not the banks, not the ones that are the supposed victims, according to the state of New York. Give us $500 million. And the banks were on the stand defending Trump, saying we would like to continue to do business with the man. That's how crooked this shit is right now. They're literally trying to run him in the ground, take everything he's got, just because he dared to come down the golden escalator one day and oppose the deep state, oppose the New World Order, oppose this socialist takeover of our country, this invasion of our country by the rest of the world. Because he stood up for us against the government, now he's the one taking all the arrows. They're taking him down any way they can. They're taking his entire legacy he built before he even gets a chance to appeal it. It can't stand. This is absolutely reprehensible. You can't do this stuff. Now, there's some conflicting reports. Just want to put this out here. Trump campaign calls CNN report on increasing bomb concerns pure bullshit. Former President Trump's campaign blasted a CNN report about increasing concerns over his $454 million bond as pure bullshit. CNN's Caitlin Collins reported Tuesday night that the former president is in, quote, panic mode over the high bond amount set for his New York civil fraud case, citing sources familiar with Trump's thinking. Stephen Chung, the communications director for Trump's campaign, rejected the claims in response to the report. These baseless innuendos are pure bullshit and fake news. President Trump has filed a motion to stay the unjust, unconstitutional, and un-American judgment from New York Judge Arthur Engoron in a political witch hunt brought by a corrupt attorney general. Now, but here's this part. A bond of this size would be an abuse of law, contradict bedrock principles of our republic, and fundamentally undermine the rule of law in New York. President Trump will continue fighting and beating all of these crooked Joe Biden-directed hoaxes and will make America great again. Time is running out for Trump to secure $500 million bond in the New York civil fraud case, which Judge Arthur Engoron ordered the former president to pay in judgment. So now, the clock's ticking. There's conflicting reports. And the New York Post is wondering if this is what's going on. They're proposing this happens. Donald Trump may not pay the bond. Instead, let Letitia James seize Trump Tower. Insiders. As Donald Trump faces a Monday deadline to post a $454 million bond in the civil fraud case. I done clicked the link, my bad. Against him in New York, insiders say he may be weighing a little discussed option, doing nothing. The ex-president reportedly has been struggling to raise the cash. These pop-ups are insane. For the bond, either from banks or wealthy friends, with his lawyers claiming on Monday that it was a practical impossibility. Some reports have raised speculation that Trump may go nuclear with Chapter 11 filing to protect his prized real estate assets across Manhattan. That would be a different, nobody sees that coming. But you can't go bankrupt. You can't go bankrupt running for president. That's just politically not what you do. That's not what you do. The New York Post. These freaking websites now, y'all ever try to read the news? I hope not. Why would you? Because it's all bullshit anyway. That's why you come to WYS Live to come figure out what's really going on. It's like NASCAR. It's like NASCAR trying to read the news. You see all these pop-ups and crap? Man, you know they're out of mountain. You know they're going out of business. That's why they're firing everybody. They can't even have a website with a news story without freaking 20 ads popping up everywhere in your face. It's insane. Like NASCAR. Anyway, that was a quick aside. But look, in 70 years, they have looked at 150 cases since this statute was passed that they just used against Trump. Victims and losses always are the key factors when they're making these rules, of which in this case, there are none. Businesses taking over the top to stop fraud in progress. That's why businesses are taking over to stop fraud in progress. I couldn't read my own notes. That's what it is. Businesses are taking over in these cases, when they are taking over, to stop fraud in progress. Not decades later or however long later it's been from these loans from Trump. So they're doing whatever they can to do this. Now, Letitia James, don't forget, she's been up here posting tweets. Look at here. Daily. Every day he doesn't pay to adds $114,553.04. She's been keeping a running tab. Look at that. It was February 24th. The next day, February 25th. Now, she started getting some backlash and the pushback on this because this is clearly, I mean, you can't say this is a not a witch hunt, not something personal, not a vendetta. When she's posting stuff like that. Now, she stopped because everybody got onto her and said this is going to be used against her in appeal, and as it should. So she's since stopped doing that. But every day he doesn't pay adds another $114,000 in interest onto this, which it's just, we have never seen anything like this in our country. We've seen it in Russia, seen it in Cuba, never seen anything like this. They're trying to jail him. That's what they're doing. Trying to take everything he's got from him, his entire legacy that he built, and then they're also trying to jail him in Atlanta. And so it's pretty crazy. Now, this is a little bit longer clip, but this is very important for context. This is from the Glenn Beck program. It's actually a couple of weeks ago, but it's very telling, and it's very worthwhile to watch. Check this out.
There's been one case, one, in the entire 70 years where they did this, where they shut down a company that had no obvious victims. The case was 1972, and it was a company, relatively small company, that was writing term papers for college students. Okay, so like I don't want to write my paper.
I want to break out and God bless America.
Capitalism is pretty impressive, but apparently this one didn't go over that well.
Right, sure.
And what they said was there's no obvious victims here because the people bought the term papers. They didn't want to write them. They got the term papers, but they said this was they were defrauding the education system,
which they were.
This is the one time,
yeah.
And it's a small, tiny company. Let me give you the other times they've done this. Tell me if any of these sound like, hey, I got a good interest rate on a loan I paid back. Number one, a breast cancer nonprofit was shut down a dozen years ago for using nearly all its $9 million in donations to pay for directors' salaries, perks, and other expenses instead of funding free mammograms. Okay.
Yeah,
so
no.
They told everyone, donate money for free mammograms, and they just took all the money for themselves. Okay, that's number one. Number two, a private equity firm faking big investment success was closed down after stealing millions of dollars from thousands of investors.
Listen to how different these cases
are.
Like
you
pretty
can
clear.
see.
Yeah,
That's
they've got it. Yeah.
Trump
But on both of those
has
so
been
far,
accused of.
You have hundreds of thousands of people, I'm sure they gave, they're all victims. They gave their money.
And they didn't get the thing they wanted.
They didn't get the thing that they were promised. So you have all of these people going to the AG going, hey, there's a real problem here. This has got to stop.
Yep.
Got it.
Not here.
Not here.
Another one. Mental health facility shuttered for looting $4 million from public funds while neglecting patients.
Hey, kind of a big
Pretty
one.
clear.
Yeah.
An auto lender that allegedly charged hidden, usurious interest rates got to stay in business last year if it paid a fine and didn't commit fraud in the future.
Just last
year.
year.
Here's one they didn't shut down. They actually let them go on. They're going after Trump for all of this. But in this one, they're like, sure, they're hidden fees.
Right.
They're not telling you about them.
Right.
Okay. A judge refused to request to shut down a river rafting company in 2011 after a customer drowned. And the Attorney General showed it was repeatedly using unlicensed guides or none at all. Instead, he ordered only a $50,000 bond and cleanup and for him to clean up his act. The company is still being run today under a different name by the same family.
Okay, so what we have
someone
are
killing
died.
people.
we
People
have
dying.
thousands of victims, and in this case, somebody who's dead.
It's dead.
Dead. And
They're like, yeah, you guys can stay open $50,000 fine. And then this is my favorite one. A judge in 2001 declined to appoint a receiver to take over a porn site despite millions of dollars of illegal credit card charges to hundreds of customers who thought they were getting a free tour. Now, look here. You want to get the free, you want to know what you're subscribing to, Glenn, before you just pull the trigger on that.
Right.
So you put your credit card information into a porn site. I think some of these victims need some life changes to be made here. But they put their credit card into a porn site expecting a free tour, and they instead just get charged and charged and charged and charged and charged. In fact, once the owners of the site were caught, they attempted to move their money overseas to avoid any penalty. Still, the judge said appointing a receiver was an extraordinary remedy that should be used sparingly, and that a preliminary injunction was good enough. Only after all that happened did they find out the people running the porn site were the Gambino crime family. I kid you not. The Gambino crime family.
And they didn't go into receivership.
No. So there you go.
There you go.
Think about that.
It's insane. The juxtaposition on what this law has been used for in its 70-year history in 150 cases, and nothing near $500 million in penalties in a victimless crime to where the supposed victims testified on Donald Trump's behalf and said they want to do business with them more. That's how weaponized this has done. I'm sorry that clip was so long. I had to play it. I couldn't plagiarize. That was not my research. I didn't want to plagiarize Glenn Beck. Had I done it, maybe I could be president of Harvard or something. Who knows? Or never mind, I'm the wrong color. I guess I have to earn what I get. But if they can do it to Donald Trump, then they can do it to you. Now, everybody in New York has to think about that. It's one of two things. If you're going to do business in New York and you want to do real estate with these big multi-million deals and these big skyscrapers and everything in New York, either you're saying, A, if they can do it to Trump, they can do it to me. Or you're admitting, I'm not on Trump's side. I'm a Democrat. I don't have anything to worry about. They won't come after me like they will Trump. So you're either saying this is horrible for New York, it's a horrible precedent, this has never been done before, it's horrible for Trump, it's horrible for our politics, it's horrible for our political system, and it's horrible for the state of New York, or you're admitting that the Justice Department is weaponized against its political enemy, and if you're on the right side, then maybe they probably won't F with you. And that there's teams and a two-tiered system of justice. Which is it? They're both fucked up, and they're both at the hands of the Democrats. Pardon my language. I'm trying to do better. So this is how you get communism, by the way. If you're okay with this, just like in Fulton County, if you're okay with this corruption, if you're okay with this bastardization of our Justice Department and our legal system to go after somebody that you disagree with, and you'll keep voting for them to put them in power as long as they do your bidding, corruption be damned, that's how you get communism and socialism, because one day the system will turn against you and it'll be too late. You have one party rule. You can't do anything about it. There is no second party. It'll just be just like that Russian election they just had, where no other candidate besides Putin, there was like 4 or 5 of them, got above 3% of the vote, apparently. So it's time to have some principles. It's time to have some values. And it's time to stand up and fight for your country, because whether you agree with Donald Trump or not, I'd be at the top of the mountain yelling about this happening if Republicans were doing it to their political opponent. This is not the way you do it in America. This is very un-American. So we'll find out what is to become of this. If they filed for an emergency stay, we'll see what's going on with that. Y'all let me know in the chat if you think he's going to come up with the money. He's went to Elon. He's gone to a few people, had some meetings with it. The problem is, even if he gets a collection of smaller bonds, you can't use collateral for the bond. So it's almost going to take a favor or something. I don't know. Or it's going to take a ruling to stay part of this or accept a smaller bond. We will see, and we will keep you in the loop here on WYS Live. Next up, the Biden impeachment shit show was everywhere yesterday. All over TV. Now, I almost didn't even want to get into this subject because nothing's going to come of this. They're not going to impeach Biden, man. They don't even have the Senate. Takes 2/3 in the Senate. What? They barely have the House. This is political gamesmanship, but it's political season, I guess. Let's play ball. They done kicked off. The election season is kicked off, so this is what we're doing. We're, trying to run out the clock or challenge plays and I don't know. I'm having no good analogies right now, sports-wise. Football season's over, and I'm not in the sports mode right now, man. But nothing's going to happen to that. So let me put that out front, okay? But it's still worth putting these people on blast. Now, first off, this is how one of the Democratic senators, Jared Moskowitz of Florida, showed up to these impeachment hearings in a Putin mask. Now, remember when they told you the adults were going to be back in charge? This is what I heard somebody say. It was Benny Johnson said, that's what happens when you let the theater kids in charge here. Look at this crap. So first of all, they're showing up in a Putin mask because, everything's Russia, Russia, Russia. But I think it's actually quite fitting in the way the Democrats are running the government right now, Soviet style, socialist style, to show up in a Putin mask just like that. But there were some good questions and some hard-hitting moments during this impeachment hearing. We're going to run over a few of them together right now. One, Jim Jordan. We all heard about the big guy, right? If you've been staying tuned, if you were in the election cycle in 2020, the big guy, when they had all these emails from Hunter Biden talking about the big guy getting his payment and getting his cut and all that kind of stuff. Who is the big guy?
Mr. Bobulinski, who's the big guy? Are you sure about that? Because when
Jordan, Joe Biden.
You're sure?
I'm 1,000% sure.
Because when Hunter Biden did his deposition under oath, he said, I don't know who it is, even though he was copied on an email that said H will hold 10% for the big guy. You sure it's the big guy is Joe Biden?
1,000%.
There you go. There's the big guy. Now we got Marjorie Taylor Greene with some very pointed questions of her own regarding this situation.
Let me show you another message. This message doesn't call Zhang Chairman Zhang, does it? It just says the Chinese want to do business with the Bidens. As a matter of fact, it says both coming to be my partner, to be partners with the Bidens, with an S. He, Zhang, has implied that the number one has made it clear and available to him. Who is the number one?
The number one is Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping,
now,
the president of China?
Quite done. My bad.
Yes or no?
There
the leader of the Communist Party, the CCP.
This Bobulinski guy was
is the
really
number one.
connected and really
that's the number one
close to the
that
Biden
Hunter was
crime
referencing
family. He
in
knows a
that
lot about
message.
the inner workings, a lot of what was going on in these situations. And here he's got some beans to spill on both Hunter Biden and Jim Biden, the president's brother.
Biden gave his transcribed interview on February 28th and lied throughout his testimony. Here's just one egregious example of Hunter's perjury. He lied to the committee on important details concerning his money demands and threats to CFC in text messages on July 30th and 31st, 2017. He leveraged his father's presence next to him in that infamous text to strong-arm CFC to paying Hunter immediately. Jim Biden also lied extensively throughout his transcribed interview on February 21st and perjured himself. An example of that, on page 100 of his transcript, Jim is asked specifically, do you recall having a meeting with Hunter Biden, Tony Bobulinski, and Joe Biden? Jim's response, absolutely not. The committee was so shocked by his perjury that they asked him the same question multiple times, Each time he denied meeting with me and Joe Biden. After the committee showed him text messages confirming that I met with Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and Jim Biden at the Beverly Hilton in May 2017, Jim Biden, with a former U.S. attorney lawyer sitting next to him, still denied that meeting took place. Hunter Biden, in his own transcribed interview, confirmed that that meeting took place. Hunter confirmed his uncle perjured himself in front of this committee. I'm simply here to tell the truth to the American people.
Pretty much all of this is well known. It's been reported on for quite some time. The payments he's gotten from the Moscow mayor, the connections he's had to China for years and years, the unpaid loans that were the interest-free unpaid loans he's gotten from communist China. No wonder he's letting spy balloons go all the way across the country before they're dealt with. No wonder you got more Chinese nationals crossing the border in San Diego than you do Mexican nationals. No wonder you have a Chinese national on the San Francisco Board of Electors determining the election laws that the actual citizens of America have to abide by. No wonder all this happens without any pushback. No wonder cyber attacks, no matter what it is, all the threats to Taiwan, nothing. No matter what, there's been no pushback from Biden, and no wonder why, because he's compromised. Everybody understands this, that he is bought and paid for. From Ukraine to China to Russia and everything in between. Here's Dick Morris. I haven't seen him in a long time, but this was a great clip of him explaining just what happened with the Biden Institute and all the Chinese money. Remember, that's the same place they found these trove of classified documents that apparently he's too damn senile to get tried for, even though they're going to try Trump for the same thing. Biden's too senile. He's got troves of classified documents that he took when he was vice president. Vice president cannot declassify anything that he just stole from when he was senator and vice president. And they just held him at this the Biden Institute at UPenn with God knows who having access to it from the Chinese Communist Party, who was also funding the Biden Institute at UPenn. Here's Dick Morris going into more detail about that.
People say, oh, there's no evidence. Joe Biden, there's no evidence that he's done anything wrong.
Yeah,
what would you say to that?
What I would say to them is I'd start with the fact that when he left the vice presidency, he was hired by the University of Pennsylvania at a salary of $1 million a year to preside over the Biden Institute for Global Engagement. Never taught a class, never showed up on campus. And then it turned out that program was funded with $54 million of anonymous donations from China.
From China?
So, and he hired among his staff future Secretary of State Blinken and 9 other people on the payroll of that institute who are now on the national security team. So China funded a farm team, essentially, for the Biden administration, and the president of the United States was on the payroll of China for 4 years and made several $1 million from it. When he left the Senate, his net worth was $29,000, which means he was either honest or dumb. Now, when he entered the presidency, his net worth was over $10 million. And all of that came from bribery.
It's so well known. It's laughable if it wasn't so serious. And all these Democrats that just don't care about their country, don't care about their people, don't care about the freedoms that they inherited from generations before them, don't care about anything but money and power. That is it. Matter of factly. That's it. That's why they're flooding the border, to stay in power, one-party rule, so that they can turn this nation into Cuba. And meanwhile, Cuba's collapsing finally. It's happening. It's what happens to all communist countries. It's inevitable. Inevitable. And they don't care. They don't care what is going on. They know he's just a damn human puppet up there. He's not in control. He's not running anything. He's bought and paid for by communist China, and they don't care. Not only do they not care, they're defending him, backing it up, sweeping it under the rug, and acting like nothing's happened just for their own political benefit. Country be damned. It's insane. And if we don't fix this, then we deserve it. Just like Fulton County, they deserve their corrupt system they got. New York, all you blue collar and blue voting Democrats in New York, you want to run real estate in New York in this climate? Or are you just going to admit that it's a two-tier justice system and that you're probably going to be just fine operating in New York as a Democrat? Is that what it's all about? I see you in the chat. It is treason. I see you in the chat. That's right. I don't like to throw that word around lightly, but there is way too much going on right now. Way too much. We just had it. We covered it, I think, 3 episodes ago, maybe episode 7, where there was a U.S. naval spy arrested and given 2 years for giving away military secrets to the Chinese Communist Party. 2 years? He got paid more by the Communist Party than he was fined. You can't make this stuff up. You start calling treason what it is, and you start punishing it the way it's supposed to be punished, maybe you'll get a lid on it. In the meantime, this country's for sale, and these people in Washington are the sellers. That's it. They're the brokers. That's the word I'm looking for. They're the brokers for the sale of this country, piece by piece. So, I don't know. Once again, nothing's going to come of this impeachment, but at least some more of this stuff will get aired, and you could see how corrupt the media was in 2020 to cover this shit up. When they knew what was going on, you could see how corrupt the intelligence agency was. When it was like 50-something FBI and intelligence agents came on and signed on to say that it was Russian disinformation, all of this stuff that we know is true, and your own intelligence agency signed off to say that it wasn't to help Joe Biden beat Trump. That's why that same intelligence agency spied on Trump. That's why that same intelligence agency has sold out the American people for the one world government uniparty. And the one world government uniparty, socialist, Marxists, bug eaters, have one label that they all run under, and that's the Democrats. And you better call them what they are. And it's getting scary out there because when you have weak leadership, the world starts to notice and the world starts to do whatever the hell they want to do with impunity and without fear. Lots of going on across the world now. Let's check this out. World on the brink as Taiwan admits U.S. troops are now stationed on the Chinese border. American troops to be permanently stationed in Taiwan, according to Taipei, a huge move that will likely send tensions with China soaring as President Xi Jinping covets the island. Look, he don't look happy, got his lip pooched out right there. Taiwan has officially confirmed the presence of U.S. troops stationed on its islands in the Taiwan Strait permanently, a development that could further escalate mounting tensions with China. The National Defense Authorization Act passed in 2023 facilitated the deployment of these troops to conduct training purposes. They didn't put quotes on it, but I will. For the Taiwanese frontline forces. The move comes as China continues to assert its disputed claim over Taiwan, viewing it as a renegade province despite never having ruled it. The heightened military activities by China in and around the Taiwan Strait have prompted Taiwan to bolster its defense capabilities. Now, what military activity, might you ask? Here you are. Taiwan detects 20 Chinese aircraft in high single-day activity. Taiwan's defense ministry said late Thursday that 20 Chinese military aircraft have been detected since nightfall, a rise in activity following a large number of planes spotted earlier in the day. Beijing claims it as far as its territory, blah, 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 blah. So in the 24 hours leading up to 6 a.m. Thursday, National Defense said it detected 32 Chinese aircraft and 5 naval vessels operating around Taiwan. Now, if you want to get Taiwan, you think you're going to do it when Trump's in office? I've been saying that. I don't want to necessarily declare it as a prediction on this show, but if I was a betting man, and in football season I am, I'd be betting that what are they going to do? Play the long game, wait 4 more years? I don't know. If Trump gets the country around, and you might have DeSantis or somebody else in there that's ultra-conservative, that's not going to stand up to this crap. Stand up. That's not going to stand for this crap. So the time is probably now if you're going to strike and you're China. So it's getting scary out there, man. And just to top that off, at least we finally had some technological advancements here in America, because we finally just test fired our first hypersonic missile from a U.S. bomber. Test of prototype weapon follows warnings that America is lagging behind similar programs in China, Russia, and North Korea. North Korea. They're ahead of us now. The U.S. Air Force conducted a full test of its prototype hypersonic missile after months of delays and similar drills by Russia and China. A B-52 bomber took off from the territory of Guam on Thursday and launched the missile known as the Air Launched Rapid Response Weapon on a missile testing site in the Marshall Islands. The U.S. Air Force declined to comment on the details of the mission, but the test is thought to be the final drill in a years-long program to develop the technology. Now, we've only been about 8 to 10 years behind this. I've been following this one closely for, it seems like a decade, that Russia has had this, and then China. And now they just sold one of these to North Korea, as the story goes. Let's see where this is. The Korean news agency said on Wednesday that the country had tested a multi-stage solid fuel engine, a key component of a hypersonic weapon. When complete, the North Korean missile could have the range to hit Guam, a U.S. territory that is home to 3 military bases. So now, Russia done sold one to North Korea. Okay, now, great. What are we doing here? This is what weakness looks like. The most advanced weaponry probably that is known right now, unless you want to go paint your roof blue, is a hypersonic missile. There is thought to be no defense for it. They move at a lower trajectory. They can maneuver once a countermeasure has been launched, and they travel at speeds 5 times the speed of sound or more. Nuclear weapons can be attached to it. Who's next to get one? Iran? What is going on in this world right now? Now, a little glimmer of hope, though. Little glimmer of hope. This was a story that a lot of people didn't see a few years ago, but this is escalating up. These tensions are ramping up. Troop presence is ramping up. There's reports of NATO troops in Ukraine right now that's already fighting with Russian troops that is just not getting reported. There's other reports that Russia is mobilizing 750,000, 750,000 troops, new brigades, new battalions. They've recruited all this. Why? They can, if they want to take over Ukraine, they can do it tomorrow, just about, if they want to go full force after Ukraine. But why are they holding back? Why is the NATO president saying that Ukraine will be a member? It's only a matter of time. Ukraine is corrupt. We promised that Ukraine would never be a member, that NATO would never be on the border with Russia. Why do you think they're pushing back? I'm not defending Russia, but you honor your word. That's what we promised Russia when we came up with NATO. We added more and more countries to it. That's okay, fine. I'm on America's side. Let's add some countries. But now you want to poke the bear? You want to put Ukraine, who has no business in NATO, corrupt as they come. One of the Ukrainian MPs riding down the street in a $600,000 Rolls Royce. Where do you think he got that from? Oh, the American taxpayer. How a war happened, and now you driving Rolls Royce? This world is in a mess. This country's in a mess. It's a quick story I was going to that I thought was a little glimmer of good news, and a little fun story about Russia and their super awesome weapon. Apparently, is that Ukraine apparently downed a Russian hypersonic missile with a U.S. Patriot, old school Patriot missile. Ukraine's Air Force claimed Saturday to down a Russian hypersonic missile. This is from 2023, May 6th. The first known time the country's been able to intercept one of Moscow's most modern missiles. Air Force Commander blah, 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 blah. Yes, we shot it down. The unique Kinzhal Oleshchuk wrote, it happened during the nighttime attack on May 4th in the skies of Kiev region. They were saying the Patriot's an outdated American weapon, and Russian weapons are the best in the world, Air Force spokesman Yuri Inhat said on Ukraine's Channel 24 television. Well, there is confirmation that it effectively works against even a super hypersonic missile. Now, I don't know if you want to count on that all the time. I don't know if this wants to be your only turn or your only weapon to fight against this stuff, especially when they launch multiple of them, if God willing, God forbid they ever do. But the war drums are beating, man. This stuff is happening out there. Meanwhile, the Houthis, they hit Israel for the first time ever. The Houthis have hit Israel for the first time ever. If I can find the right size of this damn story. Sorry. There we go. Yemen's Houthis have claimed responsibility for a cruise missile launch from the Red Sea, which landed near Eilat, and which marks the first time a projectile fired from the Iranian-backed group has struck Israel's territory. All right, now. Pop quiz to my WYS audience out there. I see you out there, chat. Thanks for being here. You like that blue roof joke, huh? Hey, pop quiz. Where's the Houthis getting cruise missiles from? I'll give you a hint. If you said Iran, you got it right. There's your hint. But also, not just Iran. Where's Iran getting the money from? Joe M.F.ing Biden. He's laxed sanctions on him twice. Obama gave him pallets of cash in the middle of the night. Twice, Biden relaxed sanctions on him, allowing him to collect hundreds of billions of dollars that were frozen. Then he let UN sanctions lax that gave him a lot more billions of dollars. Then they started trading with Russia. They got warplanes and helicopters. We talked about this, I think it was episode 8. They got warplanes and helicopters from Russia because of the money that Biden allowed to be freed up to Iran. Iran sold them missiles and artillery. They got warplanes and helicopters. And now he's going to do it again. Republican lawmakers are outraged President Joe Biden's decision to renew a U.S. sanctions waiver that benefits Iran despite the regime's continued attacks on U.S. interests. By U.S. interests, that also means our soldiers. The waiver, signed and transmitted to the U.S. Congress late Wednesday, allows Iraq to purchase electricity from Iran for billions of dollars and pay for it by transferring hard currencies to accounts in third countries such as Oman and Qatar. Some of the quotes about this. I will say it again. Why is Biden granting sanctions relief to Iran? Oh, I clicked on the dang thing. Hold on. Sanctions relief to Iran while its proxies aim to kill U.S. personnel. Does Biden want to fund terrorism, or does it want to protect our troops abroad? Another chapter in the Biden foreign policy legacy of disgrace. The Biden administration should be combating Iran's ability to finance terror at every level, you think? It's no secret Iranian-funded proxies are attacking American troops and our allies. President Biden should apply maximum pressure and tighten restrictions on the Iranian regime. Tom Cotton, nothing sums up the Biden administration's weakness better than asking Iran for help with a problem that they are playing a leading role in and that our own Navy is capable of solving. See, that was a little more to the point. Some of these politicians are too nice. Biden is playing both sides. And by playing both sides, I mean he's only giving lip service to Israel. Meanwhile, he's trying to undo a blockade that Israel has done on Hamas by putting a port that he announced in the State of the Union, a port in Palestine to get aid and other things past the blockade that Israel has put. Meanwhile, he's funding Iran, which is funding Hamas, funding ISIS, funding the Houthis, funding every terrorist organization in the world. Meanwhile, Iran's stated goal is to wipe Israel off the face of the map, the same as Hamas. And he's giving them billions and billions of dollars to achieve this. What's he doing for Israel? What? Lip service? He's got words, nice words for Israel, some nice words for Israel, and he's got billions of dollars to their enemies and the people trying to attack them, and now the Houthis have landed a cruise missile in Israeli territory. Treason. Somebody said it in the chat. Willie, I see you. Said treason in the chat. I don't know how else you spell it, man. I mean, it's not against our country, but it's against our own interests. It's against our allies. The only democracy, Western democracy in the Middle East. The only people that have been through a Holocaust and finally got their own homeland. And now everybody in that region is trying to wipe them off the face of the map, and Biden is funding it. Funding it. In World War III, when you got China, you got Russia, who's now holding military drills with Iran, guess what? This is relevant to Taiwan. This is relevant to Ukraine. This is relevant to everything because this axis of evil, China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, have their tentacles in all of this. They have the tentacles in Taiwan. I'm just holding my breath, hoping this doesn't start under the Biden. I say Biden. That's kind of a Freudian slip because it's the Obama regime still that Biden's the freaking puppet for. Hope that doesn't happen because we're not strong enough to do anything about it. We'll just fund it, I don't know, the same way Ukraine's going. This started the first month of the Biden presidency. Still going on. Haven't achieved anything. Not one thing. Don't know what we were trying to achieve. No stated goal. No stated purpose. Millions and millions and billions and billions and hundreds of billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine. No accountability. The MPs buying Rolls Royces and stuff, riding around, doing whatever they want. Fraud rampant, as it was before the war started. Now they're holding military drills with Iran. Biden's giving Iran the money, who's attacking Israel. If it gets bad enough, we're going to have to go and defend Israel against Iran, who is also in the same team as China and Russia, who also want to attack Ukraine, who we're also fighting against. And if they go to Taiwan, we're fighting against that too. You get World War III. And now for the First World War, there's nukes everywhere and hypersonic missiles to where we're just catching up to the technology. And they've had it for a decade. The world's in shit, and that's what happens when you vote Democrat. You get a weak president like this, you vote Democrat, this is what happens. Not just to your home, not just to your pocketbook, not just to your grocery bill, not just to your border, not just to your kids in school, not just to women's sports, but across the world, people dying, territories being taken over, all because you have a weak president and you voted Democrat. Because of mean tweets, an orange man bad. I'm not talking to my audience right now because I know most of the people watching this are checked out and know what's going on. But when I start posting these videos, I definitely get the hate watchers. The people getting in there hating. I need to learn something, take some notes, and they need to watch the step. So this climate that we're in globally is very dangerous, very scary, very precarious, and it's not getting any better. Last but not least, on this same vein, U.S. warns of cyber attacks against water systems throughout nation. Y'all. I know a lot of the conservative movement. I know a lot of the folks that agree with me, that know about the New World Order, that know about the World Economic Forum, that know about the Bilderbergs, that know about all of this, the global cabal that wants to control what you eat, what you can own, which is nothing, that want the one world government, that we're all under rule of the United Nations. I know the people that know about that. A lot of you guys are preppers. That's fine. I hope you got your water supply. If not, and this is news to you, it's something new you're getting onto, stock up on some clean water and a way to purify water. Look into it. Bleach, you can, even simple bleach, a few drops in the right amount, the ratio, could purify water. You can boil it, lots of different ways. But if they start doing this attacks on the U.S. infrastructure, they've talked about the electrical grid. Now they've got cyber attacks on the water supply, and the U.S. is warning of it. This is not conspiracy theory. The Biden administration is warning states to be on guard for cyber attacks against water systems, citing ongoing threats from hackers linked to the governments of Iran and China. Wow, didn't we just talk about these guys? Didn't we just talk about it? The new global axis of evil? We just talked about it. It's still going on. They're still on the same team. This is not stopping anytime soon. Not with this weak-ass president we got. Disabling cyber attacks are striking water and wastewater systems throughout the United States. These attacks have the potential to disrupt the critical lifeline of clean and safe drinking water, as impose significant costs on affected communities. Federal departments and agencies assess with high confidence that Volt Typhoon actors are pre-positioning themselves to disrupt critical infrastructure operations in the event of geopolitical tensions and or military conflicts. This stuff is not stopping. And when the president is bought out by China, as we've just illustrated with the last story, nothing's happening. They'll warn you about it. Why do you think they got National Guard? The military in the subways of New York and now Chicago's reportedly about to start doing the same thing. Why do you think that? So it's crazy. The National Guard is there for a reason, the military. And now they're warning of cyber attacks. It's important to prepare. It's important to have a plan, have food, storage, water. If anybody out there's listening that any of these dry food storage companies, it's a good place to put your sponsorship right in here. I'll be glad to promote you out there because I do support some of these companies in my own time and my own personal life. It's important to have food. It's important to have water. 3 days without water, we're gone. So stock up. It's good to have you some water on hand. But if this world war does come, the way they're coming after us is EMP, cyber attacks on our water and food. So make sure you got a way to eat and drink and defend yourself. Other than that, I hope I'm wrong. I'm not even saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying if I'm the axis of evil, there's never been a better time to strike than under this weak president that's also on board with funding Iran, that's also on board with letting your own country be invaded. It's the invasion looks a little different when you say it like that, doesn't it? The way these people are coming across this country looks a little different under that lens. Speaking of the border and the way this country is being invaded, Texas is doing every damn thing it can to stand up for itself and the American people and secure this border because this administration is willfully derelict in their duty. They have made it clear that they want more illegal aliens, and we know why. Don't forget, we put it up here. I'll put it there right now. Let's see if I got this where it's at. I'll find it in just a second. There are more illegal immigrants being encountered at the border than U.S. citizens born, and that's more illegal immigrants encountered than being born. Not to mention the ones that aren't encountered flooding across this border. It's getting crazy out here with Texas. Here's a New York Times story right here that goes into a pretty good detail about it and where it's at right now because a lot of things have happened. The Supreme Court got involved. The local appellate court, the district court in Texas has gotten involved, and there's been a back and forth, and nothing's happening right now. So this is where it stands right now. Appeals court considers reviving Texas migrant now on hold. A panel of 3 federal appeals court judges heard arguments on the bitter legal fight between Governor Greg Abbott and the Biden administration over Texas's new migrant arrest law, punctuating a dizzying series of legal developments over the previous 24 hours that left migrants and many law enforcement officials in Texas confused and uncertain. The session had been hastily convened the day before by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, leaving lawyers scrambling to prepare a hearing that could determine whether one of the nation's most aggressive state efforts to enforce security on the U.S.-Mexico border should be allowed to become law. 2 judges spoke frequently during the panel, blah, 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 blah. They came down with the ruling. We found, let's see, hold on, let's go down here. The confusion continued into Wednesday and extended to some state troopers, local police departments, and elected sheriffs, some of them eager to implement the law known as Senate Bill 4. The law makes it a crime to cross into Texas from another country anywhere other than a legal port of entry, punishable by jail time, a deportation order from a state judge, or both. It would apply not just to migrants on the border, but also people in Texas cities hundreds of miles away who entered the country without authorization as long as 2 years prior. Hello? Common effing sense, people. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with that? Not a damn thing if you ask me, unless you want the country to be invaded. Unless you want to try to take down all the barbed wire that Texas put up like this Biden administration has tried to do. Unless you want to try to get more migrants that have been encountered, illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, been encountered under the Biden administration than the population of 15 different states. It's getting wild out there, y'all. It's getting really, really wild. It's getting really, really bad. And you know about it. That's why you're here. This just happened today. This will blow your mind. You think we're not under invasion? Look at this. This is the moment when Texas National Guard became overrun by migrants rioting to get across the border in El Paso. We were there and saw it all happen. Absolute chaos here. Look at this. This is our country, y'all. This is our sovereign border. If that don't piss you off, then I don't know. Then you're a Democrat. And I got an argument with somebody today on X trying to tell me that you need undocumented immigrants to help your economy go. They kept going and then talked about how they did it in England over there. And I said, you're in England and you're trying to tell me what we need to do with our border? So basically you're in favor of my border being invaded, my country being invaded? Sit the F down and shut the hell up without no dog in this fight. Don't tell us how to run our country. But that's what happens when you have globalists. That UK thinks they know what's best for America. And Senegal thinks they know what's best for America. And Congo and freaking Bangladesh and anywhere else. Cede our sovereignty to the world order. This is what's happening in front of our eyes. And Elon Musk had a great post about this on his site. Check this out.
The Democrat open borders plan to entrench single-party rule, explained in under 2 minutes. 1. Flood the country with untold millions of illegals by land, sea, and air from all over the world, enough to eclipse the populations of 36 individual U.S. states so far. 2. Prioritize the needs of these millions of non-citizens over the needs of the American citizen, with free flights, buses, hotels, meals, and phones, ensuring their loyalty to the political party that imported them. 3. Keep them in the country at all costs, even when they commit violent crime like murder and rape. Attack the language used to describe the criminals, as opposed to the criminals themselves. Slander critics as racist. 4. Ensure their privileges are made irrevocable with city and state sanctuary laws that act as population magnets. Codify permanent status and ensure non-cooperation with ICE. 5. Count the non-citizens in the census that will determine congressional apportionment in the House of Representatives. As of now, that would equal 13 extra congressional districts, a tremendous amount of electoral power. 6. Wage a massive, heavily funded lawfare campaign to change state voting laws that legalize mass mail-in ballots, no signature verification, and no proof of citizenship requirements, making it nearly impossible to prove voter fraud. 7. Lock in the permanent voting majority with campaign promises of lavish benefits and permanent privileges, enshrining generational fealty to the Democrat Party. 8. Win elections. 9. Entrenched single-party rule has been achieved. The best part? Your tax dollars are paying for it.
It's happening. It's happening. It's true as the day is long, and that's something when Elon Musk, he's an American citizen, not a natural-born citizen. He's from South Africa, loves his country. He's not Republican. He just sees what's happening. Waking up and standing up for free speech and speaking out and using that free speech to call this what it is, an invasion, a subversion of our democracy. People aren't here to respect our laws. Look at those people overrunning this again. Look, I'm just going to play this while I talk. Mute it. Look at these people. They're not here to respect our laws. They're here to game the system. They're going to game the system, live off our tax dollars, and wave their own country's flag while they protest in the street. They're not here to assimilate and integrate. Look at these people. All military-age men of fighting age. Ain't no women and children there. Texas is trying to do what they can do, and the federal government is trying to stop them. Everybody better pay attention to that stuff. And when it comes to your community, all these blue communities being overrun, can't afford to house all these migrants, can't afford to put them up. They're kicking people out of their schools to house migrants, got all these hotels closed down with migrants, trying to give, like New York says, $10,000 prepaid Visa debit cards for gift cards for these migrants to live off of, but yet they're causing so much violence, beating up cops. They got to have National Guard in the subways and put a curfew on the illegal immigrants in the city. They can't make their own damn mind up, but it doesn't matter. Country be damned, your life be damned, your safety be damned, your community be damned, as long as they can get powered money. That's it. That's it. It's that simple. It's that simple. So many people are useful idiots because they're self-serving themselves, and the other ones are part of the global cabal to overthrow the West and bring about the New World Order. And it doesn't matter which side that they're on, which category they fall into, because they're all on the same side in the end. So, God bless Texas. I hope they can fight against it. I see that. Arizona stands with Texas in the chat. There you go. Another border state, man. It's hell out there. It's hell out there, and the American people are the ones suffering. Speaking of these illegal immigrants, how about this story? This will just warm your damn heart right here now. Oh, you got to love this. Got to love this. Undocumented immigrants have the right to own guns, judge rules. Now, before I even get any further in this story, can you imagine this shit? Can you imagine this shit? Illegal immigrants can own guns according to the left. Meanwhile, they want to take all your guns away. Oh, man, let's get into this article real quick. You can't make this shit up anymore, man. It's just dystopian hellhole that the left wants to turn this country into, and they're succeeding so far. A judge this month dropped gun charges against an illegal migrant in Illinois, sparking further debate about the rights associated with the Second Amendment. U.S. District Court Judge Sharon Coleman of the Northern District of Illinois referenced lower court rulings in dismissing firearm possession charges against Heriberto Caraballo Flores. I butchered that. That's all right. Who was illegally or unlawfully in the United States when he possessed a handgun in the Little Village neighborhood of Chicago on June 1st, 2020. The court finds that Caraballo Flores' criminal record containing no improper use of a weapon, as well as nonviolent circumstances of arrest, do not support a finding that he possessed a risk of public safety such that he cannot be trusted to use a weapon responsibly and should be deprived of his Second Amendment right to bear arms in self-defense. His Second Amendment right is the U.S. Constitution, not the human Constitution. This Constitution is for our citizens, not the rest of the world. Now we're being invaded, and they want to arm the invaders. Oh, man, this is getting me heated now. The foreign nationals. Check this out. Why has America never been invaded? Most people understand this because you got 300 million citizens that can own guns. There's more registered guns in this country than there are citizens. Good luck coming in this country. Good luck. But guess what? Wait a minute, a whole new strategy. Why don't we just go into the country and get armed too? They want to take the guns away from the law-abiding citizens of this country. You can come into this country illegally, commit all kind of crimes, get released with no bail, bust to another city to commit more crimes, rape and kill more people. Meanwhile, you can have a gun. According to this judge, his Second Amendment right, quote unquote, he has no Second Amendment right in this country because he is not an American citizen. Our armed citizens are what has kept our country safe from invasion, and now the other nations can come here and then begin to get armed in our own country. They are arming the invaders. Now, this is key. Do not forget this. They say that these non-citizens can't vote, right? Because that's a right for American citizens. But wait, the Second Amendment is also a right for American citizens. So if you want to give them guns and you hate guns and you want to tell me these people aren't trying to let them vote, both are in our Constitution, set aside for American citizens. They want to give them guns, but they don't want to let them vote. Are we supposed to buy that? We supposed to believe that shit? I might have been born yesterday, but I've been up all night. Don't piss down my back trying to tell me it's raining. I know exactly what's going on in this country. I know exactly what's going on in this country. Who doesn't know what's going on is these damn liberals who doesn't apparently know what a citizen is. It reminds me of that clip from one of my favorite movies, The Departed. I'll play it for you right now. This is what the Democrats, as far as they know, about citizenship.
I don't know if this is how you spell citizens, but fuck it, you know? No, come here. What, are you fucking retarded or something? That ain't fucking right. Are you kidding me? Look at this, look. Citizens, look.
I love that movie. Are you kidding me? That ain't fucking right. That's what they know. That's as much as they know about the citizens or care about the citizens of this country. That's every Democrat right there. There's three things they want with these illegal immigrations that's flooding the Texas border, and now they're giving them guns. One is the census. Not only does it give them extra congressional districts to split the House up to be more Democrat than it should be otherwise, because why are we counting people that aren't citizens for that in the first place? Trump tried to fix that. He got blocked by the Supreme Court, or I think that was before he had put more justices on it, maybe. I can't remember. It got blocked somehow. I can't exactly remember. I'll look that up. But he tried to fix that. In the meantime, not only are they getting more congressional seats, California would have half the electoral votes that it currently has if it were not for the illegal immigrant population that they have. Half! Everybody knows when the election's coming in and California gets called, as soon as the damn polls close, bam, blue for Democrats. Massive wave of electoral votes the Republicans have to try to counteract somewhere else. Half of those votes, literally half, would not be there if it weren't for illegal aliens. Also, there is no citizenship verification to vote. All you got to do is get a form. If you want to apply to vote, get a form. There's a box to check. Are you a citizen? Yes. There's no verification on that. States for 20 years have tried to get verification. They always lose in court with the damn liberals. And so don't tell me they can't vote. That's in all 50 states. Some states have ID verification to help keep some checks and balances in place for that kind of behavior. But when mail-in ballots and all this, they don't even verify signatures. What are we talking about? We are being invaded, and one-party rule is the goal. They might let you win a couple of congressional seats in Arkansas, but they're going to have a supermajority. Then they're going to permanently, the third step is give them all amnesty. They're going to permanently give them amnesty, and then the one-party rule, a.k.a. Putin, Stalin, Mao, Xi Jinping, North Korea, Kim Jong-un, all these people, that's what you're going to have in America. And as soon as they have it, the first people that out there dancing around, all these hippies and all that stuff, protesting about all that stuff, they're going to be the first ones locked up, and they don't even know it's coming. They ain't got time for all that protest and free speech once there's nobody to be accountable to. So this is what's happening. They're arming the invaders in our own country, saying he has a Second Amendment right. That's how it happens in these liberal blue cities, these liberal blue judges. They don't have your interest in mind at all. They want to take your guns away and arm the invaders. Last up, don't forget who's running this country. Don't forget who's running this country. It is not Joe Biden. That man can't run a hot dog stand. It is Barack Obama. And for some reason, why was he in the United Kingdom the other day? Going to 10 Downing Street where the Prime Minister lives.
Any advice from the Prime Minister?
reporters out there asking him, why are you here? And there were other world leaders in there too. Biden's not going over there. Why is Obama going over there? What we have is the POTUS is puppet of the United States. What you have here is, I'm afraid that we have been usurped by this globalist cabal. He's getting up there to enrich his family, enrich his line down the road at the American people, at the expense of the American people, at the behest of China, at the behest of Russia and Ukraine. And it's all documented. We've all got the emails. We've all got the correspondence. They've got the checks that they've deposited. It's not controversial to say. The evidence is overwhelming. The preponderance of evidence is there. Just another point, illustration to show you how much this guy is a hollow shell, and everybody was congratulating him on the left for getting through his State of the Union speech, I guess, without falling down or passing out. Let's revisit that State of the Union speech one time real quick. You ready?
For too many decades, we imported projects and exported jobs. Now, thanks to what you've all done, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs.
There's a copy and pasted speech.
Importing foreign products and exporting American jobs. We're
Word
exporting
for
American
word.
products and creating American jobs. Build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down. To build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down.
Look at this.
Building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down. We're the only nation on earth that has always turned.
I guess that's why he did better on the speech. He had plenty of practice. Been doing it for years.
From every crisis we've ever entered, stronger than we got into it. Here, COVID-19 no longer need control our lives. Today, COVID no longer controls our lives. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The only nation that can be defined by a single word.
It's a joke, man.
Possibilities. Actually, I can define it in one word, and I mean this. Possibilities. Possibilities. I'm a capitalist. Look, I'm a capitalist. I'm a capitalist. I'm a capitalist. Let's pass the PRO Act. Pass the PRO Act. Pass the PRO Act. And extend the child tax credit. And let's restore the full child tax credit. Restore that child tax credit. If you travel 20 miles east of Columbus, Ohio, you'll see a field of dreams. Outside of Columbus, Ohio, on 1,000 acres, literally a field of dreams, our infrastructure is ranked 13th in the world. Used to be #1 in the world in infrastructure. We've sunk to 13th in the world. Began to replace the poisonous lead pipes so every child, every American has clean water to drink at home and at school. We're also replacing poisonous lead pipes. Removing poisonous lead pipes so every child can drink clean water without risk of brain damage. We're going to do it by buying America.
This is our country, y'all.
We're going to buy America.
This guy is supposed to be leading us.
Buy America.
You're smarter than that. I know you are in this audience. I see you out there, Willie, in the chat. I know you smarter than that, sir. Be a laughing matter if it wasn't so sad, and if it wasn't so dangerous, and if it wasn't so awful to see this great country that our ancestors built and passed down to us. Just like Benjamin Franklin said, you have a republic if you can keep it. I'm afraid we've been usurped. The deep state is real. The one world, new world order is real. The one world government is coming. It's in the Bible. I believe the Bible. I think we're watching it happen. But anybody else, just a reminder, if anybody thinks I'm, jumping the shark or I'm a little out in the weeds, sitting here saying that Obama is still running this country. He's the only president, don't forget, the only president in American history that left office and did not leave Washington, D.C. Don't forget when he said this.
What you know now, do you wish like you had a third term? And I used to say, you know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. Wow. I'd be fine with that.
Don't forget it. Don't you ever forget he said that. They're living it out. He said it's in jest now, but you see he's the one over there meeting with the world leaders. They don't have your interest in mind. They don't have your interest at heart. All these globalists, they're all in these Western democracies. They want to take your freedoms away. They want to subvert your freedom. They want your kids to castrate themselves, sterilize themselves. They want this country weakened. They want this country invaded, thrown over, and now they want to arm the invaders. They want one world government. They want to take your voice away and have it replaced by an entire new group of migrants. And we're not going to stand for it on this show. I want to thank you guys so much for being here, part of episode 10 of WYS Live. We're going to be here for you every week. Much love to all y'all out there. Keep fighting the good fight. We're off the sidelines, out of the bleachers, and into the game at midfield, putting it all on the line for you guys each and every week. Lots more live videos coming out. We're going to go live a lot more often than we used to. Lots of new formats coming up. We got some visual upgrades coming as well. Much love to all you guys out there. And remember, we're fighting for you. We're fighting against anybody that wants to take away the rights and the freedoms and destroy this good country. And to all of those out there on the wrong side, and the evil cabal, and the globalists, and the New World Order, you better watch your step. Thanks for watching, y'all.